following show contains adult content. It's not our intent to offend anyone, but we want to inform you that if you are a child under the age of 18 or get offended easily, this next show may not be for you. The content, opinions, and subject matter of these shows are solely the choice of your show hosts and their guests, and not those of the Entertainment Network or any affiliated stations. Any comments or inquiries should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for listening.
Sitting down and designing, where every man them are thinking, what are we gonna be wearing? Yo, I'm a Liverpool MC, you can't test me. Big up the girls inside the party, let's get down to crazy Jimmy. Big up myself, the known as Alfie, the one and only, the Turkish MC.
Always love the clothes of Jimmy.
Bitch, I'm your wanna be, Jimmy Star's new celebrity.
We'll take you out to Jimmy Star's.
Hey ho, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Our head's getting cut off a little bit. Let's move this up. Bring in the good times in music, fashion, pop culture, and entertainment. We got a great show for you guys today. We want to welcome us back since we've been gone for 2 weeks. Before we get started, let's say hi to my cool, outrageous man about town co-host, Mr. Ron Russell, and our dog, Astro.
Hello, everybody. Woof, 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 woof. Hello, everybody. Astro just said hello, everybody.
There you go.
Astro, get down, darling. Good boy. Yes, we spent 2 weeks in New York. Oh, my God, I'm exhausted still. How people live in that city, I'll never know. I used to do it. I won't do it, and I can't do it. Too much of everything. Too much traffic, too many people, too much noise, too much confusion, too much expensiveness. Everything is a fortune in New York. A breakfast is $45, $50 a head. Who ever heard of bacon and eggs and coffee and orange juice costing almost $50 with a tip? Outrageously expensive. Not the best city in the world anymore. It's not my city anymore. My city was a very elegant city with few people and everything was systematic. Now New York is just woo, woo, woo. Who knows what and where. So Jimmy and I, in discussion privately, we've decided we are not moving back to New York or Long Island. Long Island has changed. It's gotten overpopulated, tons of traffic. The Long Island Expressway is a nightmare. If you get on that thing, you don't move for hours. So it's just stressful living. Palm Springs may have crappy weather with the heat and the sand, but it's easy living. We don't have traffic. It's neighborhood. Everybody's sort of friendly.
And we're going to go there anyway.
Go where?
We'll be going to New York.
Oh, yeah,
we'll do
we'll
movies and stuff. We just won't be living there, at least not right now.
Yeah, we'll be going there on business. We may move out of Palm Springs and go further north from LA where it's cooler because I really can't take the 124 degrees of heat.
Yeah, it's very hot here. In the meantime,
my Astro, right? Astro, you don't like to give me kisses. Excuse me, I have to make out with my dog.
So what's up, chat room? People are starting to show up in the chat room. We have B. Claudia's in the chat room and Lady Lake Music and Don. Hey, Don. I forgot to tell everybody who our guests are today. So today we have Greg Raposo coming on. He's a solo artist now, but he's also a member of Dream Street, the hugely popular boy band. He's also an actor. He does all kinds of cool stuff. I'm super excited having him on. We have some mutual friends. And then we have actor Andrew Stevens coming on, who's a phenomenal actor and talent and producer and director in his own right, who's also the son of Stella Stevens, who was a friend of Ron's.
Yeah.
So it should be a really fun show, you guys, today. We want to thank everybody for tuning in while we were gone. We're number 22 again on iTunes, so thanks so much. We kind of came back out of the depths of the drudgery, terrible positions we've been in for the last couple of weeks, but now we were 22 today.
We never were. We
were in the hundreds.
That's not terrible. I know some talk shows that are in the zero.
That's true.
So just be positive about it and be thankful. Any number up is good.
That's
zero
right.
is not good.
That's right.
But anything above zero is good.
So we're happy about it because there are 3.3 million podcasts. So to be in the top of anything is pretty good. So we're happy with that.
Absolutely.
We want to also Tell everybody that you can listen to us on Red Circle, which we'd appreciate if you do listen to us. I've been sharing the link all over social media. We're also on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Prime.
Your kisses send me to Shangri-La. I love my dog so much I could cry from him.
You guys, when
I
we were
love
gone on
my
vacation, that's
dog.
all he did was talk about how much he missed the dog.
Oh, did I miss my Astro? And then on the plane flying to New York, there were 5 dogs, one right behind me. And I said to Jimmy, we could have taken Astro with us. The only problem is you can't get into restaurants with a dog. And what would we do with him? We're not leaving him in the motel room, God forbid. He wouldn't know where he was. He'd be terrified. You know, these little dogs are very sensitive. I had a 135-pound dog who we just lost last week. He passed away. And Shazam was easy. You could throw him in a corner on a blanket and he didn't care. But these little things, they're very sensitive, they're very smart, and they're very dependent. I mean, he can't live without me, Astro. Yeah. And I can't live without him. He's my love. Right, darling?
We want to welcome Mike Wagner from the Mike Wagner Show just joined us. Like I said, we're going to have a fun show. I'm excited about it. I thought what I wanted to do, since Greg Raposo is a solo artist and part of Dream Street, while he's on, we're going to play a dedication video from Dream Street that they did. But he has a song called New York that he did as a solo artist. And since we just came back from New York, I thought I would play his video and then we'll bring him on.
Yes. It was fun seeing so many of my old friends in New York.
Absolutely.
I love that part.
Oh, before we do that, though, I want to
We
do
went
something else.
upstate to Geneva, and we had a lovely sail on Lake Siena with our friends Kim and Stephen Namoli. Kim is the galley chef. She is a chef that gives you recipes that come from all over the world because her husband was captain of the yacht, and she was the cook or the chef on everybody's yachts. She was on like $150 million yachts cooking for the people. And the recipes that she got from other countries, odd stuff like weird fish shit out of the ocean. She would, well, you know, those ugly things that look like pus. But anyway, she would put them together and make meals. I don't eat fish. Anyway, and then we went to see Terry and John, Teresa and John, my oldest and longest friends. We went to each other's weddings. We had children together on the same neighborhood. We lived for years. It was wonderful seeing all the kids grown up and the grandchildren starting to grow up. So, and then we had lunch with Julian Schlossberg, and that was terrific. So there was a lot of other stuff. It's wonderful going home to see people that you once knew and who you are still friends with, of course.
Okay.
So Jimmy was a stranger. He didn't know anybody. And
Not
he
true.
insisted on driving, so we fought all the time because he won't let me
Actually, I
drive.
let you drive.
Well,
for a
I
couple
told
of
him,
days.
Jimmy, at the next exit, get off and make a right. And of course, he passes the exit.
Right.
And then we had to get off the next
No, it
exit.
wasn't that
How
bad.
many? Oh, Jimmy, how many turnarounds have
We
done?
did. We did many turnarounds.
Yeah,
yes.
because he doesn't understand a friggin' instruction. So I said, Jimmy, let me drive. I'm
And he
from
did
here.
drive. He drove the first 3 days.
Yeah, and we never got lost once. I mean, we know I'm from Long Island.
That's not totally
I
true.
cruised all the gutters of Long Island. I know Long Island backwards.
Anyway, because we got to move forward. We had a good trip. We're happy to be home. Very happy to be home. While I was gone, you guys know I collect action figures. I got this vintage Sabretooth action figure, and the reason I got it is because the guy who plays Sabretooth is a friend of mine. He's been on the show 3 or 4 or 5 times. Tyler Mane, you guys, he plays Michael Myers in a lot of the Halloween movies, and in the new movie Deadpool and Wolverine, he plays Sabretooth in that film, and that movie's coming out in theaters in a couple of weeks. So I got it as a tribute to him, and because I know it's going to be worth a lot of money.
Get him to sign it. It'll be worth more.
So anyway, I didn't put batteries in him. He talks and does all kinds of stuff, but I wanted to show everybody and just say congratulations, Tyler Mane. Super happy for you that things are going so well, and I look
And
forward to
since
working
we're
with you
speaking
soon.
about movies, in a few weeks I go to work in Clown Motel 3 Ways to Hell. It's the 3rd one of the Clown Motel series, and I play General Milan, who has to get all his men together to go to a clown motel in Nevada and fight the clowns and kill them off before they get you.
It's going to be fun.
And
All
that's
right.
going to be fun.
So you guys, Greg Raposo is going to be our first guest. Before we bring him on, we're going to play a music video that he did. The name of the song is New York. This is off one of his solo albums. So please enjoy this. And when we come back, we'll be with him. Take it away, Juan.
Daddy.
The only world I see is through this windshield. The wheels spin gracefully, putting me to sleep. Crossing the state lines, the miles come and go. This Jersey welcome sign means I'm closer to home. New York is calling me. I miss the skyline of the city. No place like NYC. I count the days as I make my way back home. The rear view mirror leaves the past behind. The engine rumbling gets me through the night. Cigarettes and a motel tan paints the state I'm in. And soon enough, I'll be with you again. New York is calling me. I miss the skyline of the city. No place like NYC. I count the days as I make my way back home. Pop the champagne, make it toast. The only place I love the most. Back to where I'm from. Just a word. New York is calling me. I miss the skyline of the city. No place like NYC. I count the days as I make my way back. New York is calling me. I miss the skyline of the city. No place like NYC. I count the days as I make my way back home. I make my way back home. I make my way back home.
Hey, everybody. That was Greg Raposo. The name of the song is New York.
What a nice tribute to New York.
And now we're going to bring our guest on. So let's bring him in,
yes,
Juan.
Yes.
Hey, ho, what's up? Greg Raposo. Welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.
What's up, fellas? Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm super excited having you
It's
on.
our pleasure. Anybody from Corona, Queens is a friend of mine. I was
Gotta
from
stick together.
Astoria, which was the next town down from Corona.
Yeah, that's where I'm talking to you from right now.
Right, from Corona.
I
Right.
love it.
George, listen, I want to ask you a question. Was your name ever Raposo?
No, I thought it maybe. So my last name actually comes from my dad's side. He was born in Portugal, but my mom's side is Italian. So Maybe if I got it from my mom's side, it'd be Raposa.
Because there's a family in Brooklyn that I used to know, the Raposi.
Yeah,
Are you-
it's actually a
you
common
related?
Portuguese last name.
No, he's not related.
Raposo.
No, but Raposo in Italian means to rest.
Oh,
Raposo.
interesting.
Yeah, Raposo.
In Portuguese, I believe it's fox.
Yeah, see, Portuguese is a hell of a
So rest
language.
the fox.
No, no.
Right.
When
the fox rests.
The fox is right there, actually.
Yes, I
Right
know.
over my
That's
head.
cool. Oh, so that's. I was going to ask, what is? Okay, I didn't get that was a fox.
people
Okay.
that speak many languages have said to me, Portuguese is one of the most difficult languages to learn because it's so many languages combined. And I understand when some people speak Portuguese, I hear Italian words. So I can almost get the gist of what's going on because there's a lot of Italian words in the Portuguese language. Portuguese people, not you, Craig, you're ugly, but Portuguese people are handsome son of a bitches. The
He's
Port-
just joking, by the way. He
Of
doesn't
course.
know you.
Oh, he knows. He's from
I'm
Corona.
from
He knows.
Corona. There's not much you could say that's
He's
gonna.
a handsome son of a bitch. What am I going to tell him how handsome he is? He's got a fucking mirror. I mean, he's not a stupid blind person. He knows he's handsome. Frig him. I'm not going to kiss his ass. Anyway, you piece of shit from Corona. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I make my living out here in Corona in real estate.
Good
So
for
I'm
you.
a real estate guy, a developer, and property manager. But I still, have a great passion for music. I do songwriting every week. We travel to Nashville twice a year. I've got an amazing music group that I work with out there, and we record new music. It gets pitched out to publishing.
We just played your song, New York. And I said, what a wonderful tribute to New York that song is. I'm a New Yorker, born and raised. So for me, it's like almost a prayer song, like a religious song, because I agreed with all of the lyrics. And it's a good song. I liked it. The beat, I liked the music, I liked the voice, I liked the whole video.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. No, listen, I don't kiss your ass, so don't think I'm being nice because I want you to like me, all right?
The interesting thing about that song was it's actually off an album I recorded in 2009.
It's a good
And
song.
it was with a band that I was in, and we broke up, and the album never got released. And it was an album I was very proud of. And so finally, after, you could do the math. I don't even want to know what the numbers are. We released it last year in 2023. And what's cool about it is it still feels, fresh and new, as if we wrote it and recorded it just last year. But that was a band called Dead Celebrities. So instead of, since the band is no more, I released it on my own and titled the album Dead Celebrities.
Okay, now that New York is in trouble, and New York really is in trouble, because Jimmy and I just got back, and I saw things that I'm really not happy about. It's not my New York anymore. I think that your song is needed now as an inspirational song for the people who are struggling in New York to be safe, to be able to eat, and to be able to have a place to live. I think it just tells you how wonderful New York is and why we love it so much. I think it's great. I think you should
Thank
put
you.
it out again.
So hang on.
But Jimmy, why don't you put it out?
So hang on. Wait. First of all, he just put it out. It's out. He just put it out recently. A year ago.
I never heard it.
Well, it's because he hasn't been on the show, and you don't listen to that kind of music, really. So I do.
I listen to all music. Don't
So
put-
anyway, hang on. My turn to talk. Okay, first of all, say hi to the chat room because the chat room's starting to fill up a little bit. So say hi to the people in the chat room.
What's up, chat? I can't see the chat room. Am I supposed to be able
okay.
to see it?
It doesn't matter. You can hit the comments. People are starting to show up in there. So really, here's my.
Hush, hush.
No, I have to talk.
No, before you go into the
I'm not going into the
the
business.
business bullshit, people want to know who he is. You got kids, you got a wife. Who's your wife?
Because you guys are more mature than I. Are you familiar with a race track guy, Angel Cordero Jr.?
I know
I know the
name.
name also.
So that's my father-in-law actually.
Oh,
Oh,
good,
good
for
for
you.
you.
So
Do
my
you
wife.
drive in the car with him?
Do I drive in the car with him?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's fantastic. He's actually in Puerto Rico right now. But I met my wife in high school, and we have 4 awesome kids
Good for you.
and 2 dogs. So we are,
Did you
a
rescue
very
your dogs?
lively house. What's that?
Did you rescue your dogs?
I did. Yes, they're
Oh,
both
good,
rescued.
yay.
We have 2 rescues. We have 3, but one of
Yay,
them
yay, yay,
unfortunately
I,
passed.
I like you already. You're from Corona, you're Italian, you rescued dogs, and you got kids. You're okay in my book. You're normal.
Okay,
Thank you.
so my turn. First of all, I think that so Dream Street. First of all, I was too old. I'm a big boy band fan.
Cool.
And that's why I was asking you about something earlier. We'll talk about in a little bit. I've always been a big. Obviously, I was super old when Dream Street came out. But my 6 degrees of separation was I was actually friends with Chris Truesdale. In his adult life, I got him a record deal with the record company that I worked with. And so I've always been like a big fan. I
When
can't
did it
say
become your interview?
it's my turn to talk. You
Well,
talk. I
then
haven't
you're
said a
doing-
word.
You're doing a fucking interview
I am
on yourself.
You're right. No, I'm
We want to
no.
know about
I
Chris.
know that this is this. I want him to know that we have a 6 degrees of. Please let me just talk.
You're boring me.
No,
You're boring
but it's
the
not boring the
audience.
people. There's,
You're boring Greg.
no, I'm not boring him. Anyway, listen. So
we fight
weren't
all the time.
we weren't
Greg.
really friends. We
We're-
weren't friends.
We're married.
Okay,
We're
but let me
allowed-
talk.
Shut up already.
No, let me talk.
We're allowed to fight.
Okay,
'cause
please
we're
let me
married.
talk. I let you
Don't
talk.
you fight with your wife?
You know what? We are together almost 20 years now.
So you fought plenty. You fought plenty.
Yeah, so we get along. We get along very well. Believe it or not, we fight over stupid stuff.
We get along.
We do too. We do too. So anyway, Chris Truesdale was a friend, not a great friend, but an acquaintance friend, enough that we talked on the phone and and stuff together. So I was always like a big a fan of his, and so I kind of got brought into Dream Street, the wrong way because it came the backwards way. But
Sure.
the band was awesome. You guys probably, if it weren't all the problems, could have been one of the biggest boy bands like in history. The music is really good. It's still really good. And so number one, congratulations just on doing that, because you were like 8 or 9 or 10 years old or something, right? When that happened?
12, 13.
12, okay.
I think. So Chris and I were actually in the first
The Broadway kids.
iteration of the group. So that was probably around 12. And then we worked all summer long, did a big showcase at the end of the year for a bunch of labels. And there was a very consistent feedback of them liking Chris and I, but wanting to recast the group. So that's when we did a new round of auditions. They had Chris and I pretend to re-audition so that they had, the footage for it. But
Right.
we were like shoes in and almost kind of felt like spies since we already, had spent a year in the group. And then that's when they brought in Jesse McCartney, Frankie, and Matt, and changed the name. Originally, we were Boy Wonder.
Yes.
How old is your grandfather still with us?
No, he passed away a couple of years ago.
What was it? How old was he?
He was in his 80s. Nicola Famia.
What was his name?
Nicola Famia. They called him Nicky. He was the king of the bocce ball court.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I
Oh, hang on.
thought maybe I would know.
Don't change, though. I want to keep going with this
Yeah.
thought for a minute. So, okay, so Dream Street broke up. You went solo, and actually, so I listened to, since we knew you were coming on the show and we were on vacation, so I've listened to all your albums multiple times over the last couple of weeks. I streamed everything on Spotify. You guys can check out more. His website is gregraposomusic.com. No, Greg Raposo. Yeah, that's right. Greg
Yeah,
Raposo.
you got it.
Also, his Instagram, you guys, is Greg Raposo Music or Dream Street _official. Now, you guys recorded a song called Smile in tribute, I guess, to Chris Truesdale, who unfortunately passed during COVID. Is Dream Street kind of like going to get back together with the three of you as adults? Because I see you're playing some shows.
Yeah, no, we're not going to get back together as the three of us. But we have reconnected on a personal level. It was unfortunate that it took a tragedy to kind of like, shake us all up and snap us out of our little bubbles I think we're all living in. So about a year ago, we did a we all went to Montana and rented a house and just, spent the weekend together with the wives. And honestly, it was just like so silly that like it hadn't been done before. And so, since then, we definitely have just like reconnected. We have our group chat. When Jesse is on tour and he's in town, we all get together and support him for his shows. Because that song, we did two things. So one was we did an acoustic cover of It Happens Every Time, which was our single. That
Yes.
was directly after Chris had passed. It was something I felt really strongly about wanting to do. And honestly, all the guys, they just jumped in on it. I didn't even really have to ask. I was like, guys, this is something I'm doing if you want to be involved in it. And all four guys, three other guys got in on it. It was something that we did completely remotely. I think Matt actually recorded himself and his vocals like off his iPhone. And it just came out really nice. And it was just like, I'm very proud of that moment that we made that. And I know how much, Chris would have loved that. But I guess since having done that, it did kind of create a little bit of a buzz and a resurgence.
I think if you guys just recorded like a 3-song EP, I think you guys could be going on, as one of the headliners on all like the Pop 2000 tours and all those, things with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and everybody's doing. I know you're doing one in Mexico, I think I saw.
Yeah. So
Everything good is coming back.
Yes.
I think the tricky part, honestly, is that Jesse, he's still got a career and he's still very active. And to be quite honest, he's a lot more successful on his own than Dream Street ever was. So I don't think from a business standpoint, it would even really make much sense for him to do anything backwards.
Actually, I was thinking, though, it would just be you, Matt, and Frankie. Does the three of you go out as
So I kind of toyed with that a bit, but it was also tricky because Frankie has a very busy schedule. He owns a corporate events company, and they're just like always gigging. And I think his like goals in life is to actually kind of move away from performing 5 days a week.
Exactly.
And so, when we kind of brought it up to him, he's like, look, you guys are trying to make me perform more when I'm in the process of trying to perform less. Whereas, I work in real estate, Mac works in pharmaceuticals. So for us, it's a lot more nostalgic and it's a lot more fun to get booked and to go play a show. Whereas for him, it's a little bit more of just more work.
Got it.
And Jimmy doesn't know what it's all about going on tour. I do. It stinks. A different motel every night, crappy food, and then you have to worry about, do I have an audience when I go out? Is the house full? Will the house like me? Then it's over and you're exhausted and you go back to bed. You got to worry about bed bugs. You got to worry
Here's the
about...
thing about bed bugs.
I do. It's a stinking life. Road work sucks. And you have 4 children and a wife to take care of. You don't have time to go on the road. You don't have
I don't
to.
think, though, you would have to go on the road. I think you guys could
No, they could do television.
You could record 3 songs, put it out there, and then everyone, like once every 6 weeks or 8 weeks, join one of those tours for a special event, with like 98 Degrees or some of those other like bands. I know, like all those people.
But he's got a good real estate company, and I know that Corona now is all Hispanic. So he speaks Portuguese. I'm sure you speak
Do you
Spanish.
speak Portuguese?
No, you know what? I missed
Don't
that.
speak
I wish
Spanish?
I did. Nope.
You
I
speak
can rent an
Italian?
apartment in Spanish, and I
Wait,
understand
do you speak Italian?
English. I'm still working on my English.
Are you kidding? Your mother should have taught you Italian, and your father should have taught you Portuguese.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. They're both beautiful languages. So how do you communicate with your Hispanic clients?
I have assistants who help me.
Who speak Spanish?
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of my top requirements when I hire.
Let's plug your business. Where are you, and what's the name of your real estate?
Actually, the opposite of wanting to plug it. I don't want to be found, and we manage our own properties, not for hire. I primarily work as a developer, just growing a portfolio of real estate and
Good for
working
you.
for myself.
But that's a smarter approach to real estate.
Not the smart.
Yeah, so no plug necessary. I'm in a basement where hopefully nobody finds me.
There you go. Actually, though, you're still recording though music, because like a lot of the stuff, I know a lot of stuff you put out, you recorded like previously, because it's really, really good stuff. Your solo music's really good. Obviously, I think the Dream Street music is really good. I love the fact that you guys did Smile. We're gonna actually play that for everybody while we have you here. So will you continue, if you don't put Dream Street back together, would you continue doing your own solo music?
What it comes down to is once a musician, once a songwriter, always a songwriter. It's such a strong part of my identity that it's not something I'll ever not be. And I made a decision in my early 20s when I was, full-time pursuing music and being on the road and working for free and, sleeping in different hotels and also, dodging the bed bugs.
Yeah, I worry about those things. Meanwhile, you have a great voice. I love your voice.
Thank you.
It's a good speaking voice. You could do talk voiceovers and stuff with that voice. It's an interesting voice.
I do love the entertainment business. I love being an entertainer. It's my passion. And when I was trying to make a living out of my passion, it started to feel like work. And that's when I realized I was losing passion for my passion, having to write a song to put food on the table, having to tour in order to support a family. And I kind of came to a realization. It's like, look, if I'm not afraid to work, I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves, get dirty, do what I got to do.
Yeah, but wait a minute.
I'll do that to make money.
Hang on, Greg.
Yeah.
It's not work. Come on, tell the truth.
Well,
when you're performing, it's heavenly. It's not.
But what's
work.
the job? You get an hour of performing, and then you're traveling, and then you're in the airport. And then
I know that it sucks. It sucks.
So that's the work. That's the job.
Yes,
that's the part I hate. We all do.
So I decided to pursue a career where I could afford to support the family I always wanted to have. That was honestly more important to me than being a rock star. And I'm very grateful that I was able to achieve that. And now I can pursue music from a purely passionate place. We are doing the Pop 2000 tour. And we're going to Mexico. It's just going to be Matt and I, reuniting as Dream Street. And, we're both really fortunate to be to take off and to run away and do that. And yes, the right opportunity arises. I'm self-employed. I have the option to take on different opportunities, but I don't do, I do them on my schedule. I do them as I please without any anything needed in return. To be honest, most of everything I do is for charity. All of the shows that I do, any ticket sales, any money that comes in from music, I've essentially dedicated to giving back.
I want to say something. Why I don't know your music, and I'll tell you why. We live in a very selfish world. Jimmy puts in earplugs and listens to music all day long. I don't hear it. Years ago, we put a record on a phonograph, and the whole house heard it. So everybody was able to enjoy it. And I want to say, I'm sorry I never heard your New York song, because I would have loved to have played it in New York while I was there. It would have been inspirational.
Sure.
So you see, selfish people today with the cell phones, they don't give a shit. Doctor's offices, everybody's on
I'm
the
a
cell phone.
publicist.
Oh, you're a big
for my
publicist.
occupation, so I
You're
listen to
just
music.
selfish.
I listen to music all day long, usually of whoever is going to be coming on the show, because we bring on a lot of great musicians like yourself. So let's give a real quick tribute thing. So you guys, when he was in Dream Street was Matt Ballinger, Greg Raposo, Frankie Galasso, Jesse McCartney, and Chris Truesdale. They had all kinds of hit songs. I actually liked You're Taking Me Over, I Miss You, and They Don't Understand. Those were like my three favorite, because I listened to it in the past.
He's got a good voice.
He also, I watched The Biggest Fan in the last couple of weeks again, just to watch it. I only saw crappy versions of it that are on YouTube. But you guys are in it at the end performing. You also, I read, came in second place on Star Search, which we
that's kind of where I got my start. That was when I was 9. And my dad is a big Elvis guy. So I started learning Elvis songs as a little kid just to play for him. And when I did Star Search, I performed an Elvis song. It got filmed and somehow got into the hands of Priscilla Presley, who reached out to me directly and invited me to Graceland to perform at what was called the Elvis Spectacular. It had been the 20th anniversary of his passing. And the coolest part about that was they had people coming from all around the world. They were all adults. I was the only child who was invited there to perform. I was the representative of the US. Everybody else was from different countries. And it was my first show performing live with a real band, with a drummer and guitar players and backup singers. And it just so happened that was Elvis's drummer. That was the Jordanaires singing behind me. It was his guitar player. So my first live band experience and performance was actually being backed by Elvis Presley's original band.
We actually had Sam Harris on our show, and he was the very first Star Search winner.
Mhm.
And
Okay, here we go. A kid coming from Corona. Corona is not a wealthy neighborhood, folks. It's a blue-collar, hard-working neighborhood. The homes are very, very old. The town is very, very old. Here you are, this young kid. What made you think you had the balls to go out and be who you are today? Who pushed you? How did you do it? Why? Coming from Corona wasn't easy because everybody in my day from Corona, the Corona Dukes was the gang. And everybody from my day from Corona was tough. They were, and I mean, if you were gay, like you couldn't be in Corona, they beat the shit out of you. So you had to act straight and be like all the guys. How did you? Didn't all the kids make fun of you, like you big sissy? You're singing, ha ha, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I had death threats. I had FBI cases back, when I was in high school, and definitely dealt with my fair share of bullying. But I was also always just so blessed, not only in I have an amazing family. I've got four. I'm one of four. I've got three great little sisters, and I've always just had like a good head on my shoulders. And to be honest, it never really hurt me as much as I think.
So you never let the punks get you down?
Not really, because it's like, yeah, you can say what you want, but then after school, I'll be the one like making out with your girlfriend.
Performing on Ricky Lake and Maury and Ricky Lake and traveling and stealing out arenas.
No, wait, Rick, do me a favor. Tell all the young kids out there who are being bullied because they want to be better than the rest of the gang that, look at you, be an inspiration for them. Because I know so many kids from minority neighborhoods that want so badly to be in our business, but their families and their friends keep them down. My mother was a silent movie actress who didn't make it. So I said, Ma, I want to be an actor. And my mother's very words were, yeah, right, Ronnie, Hollywood's just waiting for you. Grow up and go work for Con Edison. You get benefits.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, I also had incredibly supportive parents, which,
lucky.
When you're a kid, I'm not driving myself into the city for auditions at 9 years old. So that's also a big part. And then even in Dream Street, we were all underage. We were minors. So each one of us had a supportive parent who was there and waiting and driving us in and having to hang out in the city for 3 hours while we're rehearsing. So it was it really is a team effort involved, especially if it's, a child.
Okay. What did you do when drugs were offered to you?
That's a good question. It depends on how old I was and where I was in my life at the time, but I definitely, entertained things and was also very fortunate that moderation has always been, not a problem for me. But yeah, I mean, I was in rock bands and we were traveling and we did all kinds of stuff. Nothing hard, nothing serious. But again, if if I was offered something at 13 or 14 years old, that's a very different story than being 22. But no, everybody has different stories. I would have to say that as a minor in the industry, I really wasn't being pushed to do anything that I, wasn't comfortable doing. And to be honest, any like trouble we got into was trouble we were looking for and trouble we were finding on our own. Nothing that was being pushed on us.
So you didn't make the mistake River made, River Phoenix.
I'm not familiar with
River Phoenix OG'd in a club on Sunset Boulevard, the Viper Room, and he died on the sidewalk.
We really are old.
I mean, look, but that's a common story, not just in entertainment. I mean, I have a handful of high school friends.
Phoenix,
Yes.
River Phoenix is Joaquin Phoenix, the actor's younger brother.
Gotcha.
And so
He was a
many,
huge movie star.
so
back in the
many,
day.
so many young kids today think that you have to be high to perform. And I say no. I was 19 when I entered the business, and I'm proud to say I've never done a drug. Never. And all my friends were loaded, getting high. Hey, Ron, have some LSD. I say, why? I never come back. I'm crazy as it is. If I took LSD, I was afraid. So I don't endorse drug taking at all. And since you're a boy band, you can make a lot of sense to a lot of the kids out there and say, listen, you're young. Don't fuck up your brains with drugs. It doesn't work. Look at this guy, successful, handsome, healthy, wife, 4 kids. He did it right. He did it the right way. If he would have done drugs, he would have been today probably in the streets of alleys of New York with a needle hanging out of his arm getting AIDS.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's not something that I recommend anybody mess with.
Right.
But there's also a realistic approach you need to take with people, and that it exists and that it's there, and that, it's okay if you want to try something, but you have to do it responsibly. I went to private school, elementary school, and then public high school. And when I went to high school, the kids were way more advanced than I were.
Sure.
And it was like, living in a bubble, and all of a sudden that bubble was popped. So I remember 9th grade and 10th grade, I was like trying to save everybody. Don't drink that beer. No, you can't smoke that cigarette. It's horrible. You can't do it. After a while, it's like, shit, I'm not making any headway here. And then eventually, I tried my first beer.
When you guys were like had your first hit single and everybody knew who you were then, were you still going to school every day then?
Yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., I was the bottom of the totem pole, getting pushed. You're walking with your tray, your food's on the floor. But then 3 o'clock would ring, I'd be in the city and I'm hanging out with industry executives, and I've got a 2-hour line of girls who are waiting to take a picture with me. I mean, it was such a contrast that it kind of actually helped put me somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, that's good though, because you seem very.
No, it's awful being young in the business. I was 19, and I would make a movie, and then I'd go home, and all my friends would say, "Oh, here he comes, Mr. Hollywood," and they'd make fun of me.
Yeah,
and they were jealous. They're still jealous. The few that are still alive, because they're all croaked, all the other ones. But I still fight jealousy, envy of what I do at 84. So I'm sure you're going to still find envy and jealousy among I call them the audience. The audience doesn't really understand a performer. Don't you agree?
I think, so I always have had a very good sense of self. And that was very important. Growing up as, I did a lot of off-Broadway stuff. So I had a very close connection. Some of my best friends ever are from the gay community. And when I was in high school, being in a boy band, that was probably the number one insult that I was given. It was just always called every homosexual slur that you can think of.
Right.
But, it bothered me more so for my friends that I loved and really cared for, and I knew had to deal with that in a different way than I did, because I am straight and I've always known that I was straight. So it's a lot easier for me to kind of rub that off my shoulder, because you call me whatever you want, right? I know who I am, and that's really, I think, helped me. Not
No,
being
it's very
straight, but just knowing
Yeah.
who you are, and knowing
Yeah,
that I'm a great
I know who I am. I'm straight. My husband Jimmy's gay.
person. There you go.
So I want to play. I have another subject I want to talk about, but first I want to play "Smile" real quick for everybody. So this is actually, you guys got back together to do this song. It's available, you guys, on iTunes. I downloaded it like a year ago.
I really like you, Greg.
Thank
You're
you.
a good guy. You're like my kind of people. You're
Thank
not Hollywood. You still kept yourself. You never got lost in your fame or your bullshit. And I really respect and admire you for that. And I guess you had good parents because you're a good kid.
Thank you. I'll tell you what,
Must have did a good job on you.
there was 2 months where we went on tour, and I wasn't going to high school during the day and being a pop star at night, and we had to get homeschooled while we were on the road touring. In those 2 months, I came back with such a swollen head that it was my junior prom, and I remember walking through these hallways being like, who am I gonna honor with the request to be my prom date, like such a little superstar. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that when I see people like an Aaron Carter, for example, or even Jesse from my group, who's been up there for years and years and a whole lifetime of being up so high in the clouds. I had just 2 months of that where it was my 24/7.
You're entitled.
It happens.
Well, it's been a good-
Listen, do you know who Jane Russell is? The actress, the movie star Jane Russell.
It rings a bell, but no, I can't
She's
put
a very, very famous movie
Like
star.
Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was my good friend. The only time I ever had a swollen head was when I walked into a room as her date. I
Right.
was so proud to be
Right.
Jane Russell's date. You have no
Yeah.
idea. But
Yeah.
as far as having a swollen head with myself, no. I'm my own worst enemy. I've been told that by directors. I get off of a shot and I say, oh, that sucks. I can't stand it. What the fuck was I doing? What was I thinking? And my director said, Ron, you were great. I said, don't bullshit me. That's my problem, is I'm always trying to achieve more. Are you that way?
Absolutely.
You always feel you're not as good as your last performance.
Somebody who thinks they've got no more improvements to make is headed for a dead end. And so I am very big on always wanting to improve and always thinking there's
Like I
more to
am.
know, there's
I
more
agree.
to learn. I'll never reach my best, because there's always another day that I could be better.
I agree with
So
you
real quick-
100%.
Real quick, was your prom date your wife? Because you said you met her in high school.
No, she wasn't. She was a very innocent, terrified girl going to the prom with me.
All right.
I had this reputation of being a pop star, when in reality I was totally like this hopeless romantic who really just wanted to fall in love and have one girlfriend and
But-
write all my
but
music
you were-
about her.
But you were a C man, right? See you next Tuesday, man.
No, I wasn't. I honestly really wanted to be in love, especially when I was younger.
Yeah, but come on, give me a break.
He's
Hey,
talking about when he's 15 and
I don't
Yeah.
listen. I was 14. I was in a drive-in movie getting it. With
anyway.
with
Well,
my
you're
girl-
different though. You're like a hood.
I was at the drive-in movie with my girlfriend Hilda, and we were having sex at 14. What do you
Okay.
think?
Anyway, we're gonna move
Just
forward.
because you're an old faggot that didn't have sex with
I did though. I did actually. So hold on. So hang on to it, because we're going to talk a few more minutes after we play this, but introduce the Smile video, and Juan, our engineer, will play it for everybody, and hang on. You guys, this is and just tell everybody you guys got Reed together for this tribute
Yeah,
song.
so Smile is a song that I wrote in honor of Chris. Anybody who's ever met him, if you're going to ask to sum him up in one word, it's smile. And it was one of his best characteristics. It was something I'll always remember for him. And it's a song that I think, for me, it gave me a lot of strength, and it's a very consoling song. It puts a positive attempt on a very dark situation. Yeah, Matt and Frankie both joined me on it, and Frankie's the one who actually edited the music video. So it was definitely a very communal effort, and is another piece of art that I'm very, very proud of. And honestly, as an artist,
Okay, so introduce it. I'm anxious to hear it. Let's go.
This is Smile.
There you go. By Dream Street, you guys.
I think of you when the wind blows south, running down the highway, windows down. Still can't believe you're not around.
But you're there in the back of my mind. Now I don't look up at the sky, shake my fist and ask you why no more. It ain't like before.
There were Friday nights and Sunday mornings you were taken without warning. Now we'll never be the same, but every storm runs out of rain. I went numb and I lost feeling. I let time do its healing.
Now I crank it up real loud so you can hear it above the clouds.
It's been a while, but now when I think of you, I think of you, I think of you and smile. So we'll dream on like we did before. I can feel the rain when I hear your name. It takes me back to Friday nights and Sunday mornings. You were taken without warning. Now we'll never be the same, but every storm runs out of rain. I went numb and I lost feeling. I let time do its healing.
Now I crank it up real loud so you can hear it above the clouds.
It's been a while, but now when I think of you, I think of you, I think of you and smile. So can you hear the music playing, my old friend? We'll feel the magic when we meet again. There were Friday nights and Sunday mornings. You were taken without warning. Now we'll never be the same, but every storm runs out of rain. I went numb and I lost feeling. I let time do its healing.
Now I crank it up real loud so you can hear it above the clouds.
It's been a while, but now when I think of you, I think of you, I think of you and smile.
I love it so much.
It's a great
It's
song.
a beautiful tribute. Ron didn't remember because Chris was actually on our show
He was
like
on- now
years
I-
and years and years ago,
Now I remember him.
like 10 or 12 years
Yes,
ago. He
I
was on our
remember
show.
him. He was a very nice fellow, like this one. Nice.
So you guys,
Yeah.
that song's available on iTunes. It's a great song. You did a great job
What a
writing it. It's a
shame he
beautiful tribute
He
video.
died from COVID.
It's just terrible.
I mean, I hate the motherfuckers that made that disease, that put that shit out there for everybody to die. And they got away with it. How do you like that? They got
terrible.
away with it. That's what pisses me off.
But I think that you had such great experiences. You've done terrific. Now you've also acted, and I'm bringing this up on purpose. So first of all, you were in Return to Sleepaway Camp, which Felissa Rose, who's the star of the original Sleepaway Camp, she's the one who ends up having the penis at the end, is a very good friend of ours.
She's a good
She's been on the show, many times. Ron's been in movies with her.
She's nice. I like her.
And I've never seen Return to Sleepaway Camp, and I know there's like a million Sleepaway Camp movies, but how was that experience for you? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, you know what? It was really just a cameo. It's funny because actually just this last week we do Friday movie nights in our house.
Oh, that's nice.
And so we always what movie are we gonna watch? And my daughter had brought up the Biggest Fan, which was the Dream Street movie that we were in. And they were laughing because I'll be honest with you, I've never seen it, nor have I seen Sleepaway Camp.
What'd you think of when you saw yourself? What'd you think?
I still haven't seen it.
Oh, he still hasn't seen it. Oh,
I never saw it. I never watched. I never saw
with
Sleepaway
your
Camp.
daughter
I never saw The Biggest Fan. Maybe I'll get around to it one day.
It's a very cute movie, and
I walk out of the room. If one of my movies comes on, I walk away. I cannot sit and watch anything I'm in. It's terrible. I can't.
So here's the reason I asked you the question. So because I'm a movie.
Wait, I want to finish my sentence. You know what I say to myself? What the fuck are you doing there? You don't belong there. You look like shit. You're stupid. You look like Ronnie. You're not even acting. Why are you up there?
But he always gets good reviews.
Yeah, I know that. I don't understand why. I mean, I think I don't get it. Did you watch your cameo and let me know what you think?
I mean, I literally in Sleepaway Camp, from what I remember, they throw up a potato at me and I catch it and I go hot potato and then I just toss it to the next person. So I'm sure I couldn't have messed that up too bad.
So the reason I asked, he's the actor in the family. I'm the producer, and I actually have put together a movie called Dog Moon, and it is a werewolf movie, like a trilogy. And what we're doing that's unique from everybody else is, and the reason that we did this is because of Jeff Timmons from 98 Degrees was on the show, and I told him I would love to do a movie with a bunch of boy band members. So we put together this movie, and half of the cast is going to be boy band members from 80s, 90s. We have Jeff Timmons.
Here comes the plug.
We've got some other people. And I was just thinking, if you're interested in acting, to put you on.
Sign me up.
We'll have a soundtrack so you can put out music. You could put out your own music on it, and we will have, A-list boy band people and people from basically every boy band, because I want all of them in there.
And they'll pay you.
And you get paid. Yeah.
You know what? For me, that just sounds like a lot of fun.
It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to shoot in Texas. We're going to have a really famous horror movie director directing it. And then the other half of the cast will be major horror movie stars. So it'll be everybody in it. It'll be kind of like a somebody. And I used to be really good friends with the guys like in Take 5. And I'm trying to reach out to C-Note and
I'll be in it also.
And do you remember Youngstown? I want to get a little bit of everybody if we can. And then we've already got some people from Backstreet NSYNC and 98 Degrees.
You see, I'll be in that movie also because I sleep with the producer.
Oh, he's
nice, perfect.
He's got
the old-fashioned way of getting in.
Oh yeah, yes. I have sex with the producer, and I get film all the time. No, I have a good part.
It would be an honor. I would absolutely love that.
I think it would be a lot
I would
of
hope
fun.
I'm being hired for who I am.
No, he's actually a good actor. But anyway, we're in the middle of putting the whole thing together now and trying to secure financing. But one of the guys who's producing it with me, who wrote it, was in a boy band that was never famous, but he's really knows all the boy band people and stuff. And so we came up with this idea together to do it. But like I said, it was after Jeff Timmons was on the show, and
I think it's a great idea.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be a lot.
Look, I'm not going to sleep with you to get into it, but I definitely love to be there.
No, I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I think it's a good concept. It's an interesting movie, never been done, and all the fans of boy bands are going to see everybody now adult, and everybody likes that. I like your video. I saw you as a kid. Skinny thing, no arms, you skinny little runt. And now look at you. Now you're a man grown up. So that fascinates people to see how we change. I still look 19, so I'm not in that category.
Right.
I look
So you
totally
guys-
19.
So this is Greg Raposo. You guys, please check out his music, GregRaposomusic.com. You can follow the Dream Street Instagram. It's at Dream Street _official, and then Greg's is Greg Raposo Music. Congratulations. Do your kids, do they have any interest in being in entertainment? Or are they too
They're
young?
still young. I mean, my youngest is 1.
Oh,
and my
okay.
oldest is
Oh,
8.
Yeah, they're too young still.
So
Right,
they're
yeah.
still young, but they are the light of my life.
Good for you.
And,
Congratulations.
Yeah, I mean, look,
No,
anything they want to do.
Gene does travel. The Gene
Yeah,
does.
no,
travel.
they sing. My 6-year-old is been taking drum lessons, and the teacher's telling me all the time that he's just got like a natural ability for it. So it does seem to be in there, but I would never be the one to want to push.
No,
Right.
don't.
Let them
so-
come up with it on their own.
My daughter Deirdre wanted to be an actress. She made a couple of movies, and now she said, I wouldn't be an actor if they paid me $1 million. I said, I'd shoot you if you didn't take $1 million, Deirdre.
yeah.
So she said, well, $1 million, I would go back to acting. But my daughter and my other daughter, Leslie, who was Miss America runner-up beauty, has no interest at all in anybody looking at her. She doesn't like being looked at.
My mom has a talent agency called Dreammaker Talent Management. She
Okay.
was so busy with me growing up that once I got older and wanted to do my own thing, she
What was your
really
mother's
developed
name?
a passion. Marianne Raposo.
And what was the name of her agency?
It's Dreammaker Talent Management.
Well, I think I know that name. What is it? Dreammaker?
Dreammaker
Yeah,
talent.
Dreammaker.
I think I know that.
I love that though. That's very cool.
Wait a minute. I have something.
Yeah, so if any of my kids do have the interest, we got
Yeah, you have a place to take 'em.
Again, yeah.
And someone who will really look after them.
That sounds very
important.
familiar to me, Dreammaker.
All right. So anyway, you guys, this is Greg Raposo. Congratulations. I'll be in touch as time goes on.
Greg,
Cool.
you were a good guest. Thank you.
Thank
for
you guys so much.
Cool.
Hey,
And-
congratulations for
and
everything
thank you.
that you've done and that you're doing.
And thank you for not being offended by my insanity.
I don't think you could offend me if you tried.
Hey, thank you so much. We'll see you soon, Greg. Thanks a lot.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Thank you
Greg.
guys. Thank you
Enjoy.
so much.
Take care, buddy.
Yay! I love it. So I have another thing I want to play real quick before our next guest will be coming on in about 8 minutes, I think. But I pulled this up off the internet, and I think it's fun since we have Andrew Stevens coming on. You guys, he did a song, and I have a copy of it. It's called "Helpless in Love." So I want to just play it real quick, and then in a little bit he'll be here. So everybody enjoy our next guest, Andrew Stevens. Here he is singing "Helpless in Love."
Whispering softly, eyes that invite me to love you long into the night. And when sunlight's breaking, your love I'll be taking. That feeling I can't get enough of. Oh, baby, I'm helpless in love. What can I do? Just can't think straight. I'm thinking of you. Helpless in love. I can't wait to be one with your love holding me. Like some magical spell, babe, that you got me under. Can't keep my mind off of you. Cause whenever I try, ooh, something inside just keeps me holding on. There I go, falling, helpless in love. What can I do? Just can't think straight, 'cause I'm thinking of you. Helpless in love. I can't wait to be one with your love holding me. Helpless in love. straight. Thinking of you. Shelters of love. I can't wait to be.
Hey, everybody. So they were asking me what that was. It looked like Merv Griffin actually coming out, or Michael Douglas, one of those two. Ron will be right back. But that was our next guest who'll be coming in about 4 or 5 minutes. His name is Andrew Stevens. He's a writer, producer, director, singer, actor, and a Golden Globe nominee. So I'm looking really good. And Cindy keeps saying Emerald Point was a great show, which I don't even know if I know what that is. I don't think I even wrote that down on my list of all the different things he's done. But anyway,
I had to water the lily.
did you?
Yes,
I'm gonna look-
that's an old expression. You know, even though listen, we're human. You know, we're not make believe people. We're real.
I'm
This
gonna
is
look-
too silver. I look like I don't have a tan, and I'm really dark. What kind of lighting? Yo,
That's our regular light that we have.
I look
for 10
white.
years.
I look like alabaster.
No, you look fine.
No, I'm dark as anything, and here I look alabaster.
I'm looking.
Where's Andy?
I'm trying.
Where's Andrew?
He's not supposed to be here for 4 more minutes. So
4 more minutes.
I'm just looking stuff out. Oh yeah. So here's Emerald Point NAS. You guys, it ran for a year. Has starred Dennis Weaver, Maude Adams, and Andrew Stevens. And Richard Dean Anderson, Stella Ward, had a huge cast of people: Jill St. John, Susan Day, Robert Loggia, Robert Vaughn. Huge. I didn't even know what it was. So Lady Lake knew what it was, and that's a show that actually Andrew Stevens starred in. Also, you guys remember he starred in Dallas
That's right.
for a bunch of episodes, and he's here. It looks like he's here, so let's bring him on now. Go ahead and bring him in, Juan. Hey, Andrew, how you
There he
doing?
is.
Guys, how are you?
Terrific. All right, let me do a
Andrew, at long last, I have met you. I was,
Hey, now, wait. I want to introduce him before you do all of that.
what are you directing me again?
Yes. All right, everybody. Now we want to welcome to the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell, singer, which I don't know if you heard. We just played "Helpless in Love" right before you came on, just so people would get to see who you were back then. So we have actor, writer, producer, director, and Golden Globe nominee Andrew Stevens. Hello and welcome to the show.
Hey, guys. Thank you for having me.
This is Ron Russell, my cool, outrageous co-host, and now you can tell them all about Stella.
I love your mother. I knew her well. Stella was a buddy. Stella was one of the guys. Stella was a beauty. I used to ask Stella, what's Andy doing? And she would tell me. We would talk about our children. I was very sad when Harlan Boyle told me Mom was in a home. I wanted to go see her. And Harlan said, Ron, she won't know you. She was a victim of Alzheimer's. And Stella Stevens, to me, because she came, the last time I saw her, I think was at Rock Hudson's house for a party. Rock had passed away. And I think Shelley Winter's birthday party may have been the last time I saw Stella, of which I have pictures to put up of Jane Russell, my stereo.
There you go.
There's Jane Russell, Stella Stevens, me, Beryl Davis, Shelley Winters, and Terry Moore. Stella Stevens was one of the nicest people I have known in this business. And I'm sorry she's not with us. I would have loved Jimmy to meet her. So now go ahead. Tell us all about Mom and what you're doing. She adored you. You know, she worshipped and adored you. You know that.
That's very sweet. So my mother and I had a complex relationship. She was an only child from a small town in Mississippi, in Yazoo City. Her parents migrated to Memphis when she was 4 to get better jobs. My father, who they didn't know each other at the time, his parents also migrated to Memphis. And so they met. She was a sophomore. He was a senior in high school. I actually graduated from that same high school in Memphis. Right. And I was conceived in the backseat of a Mercury at the Skyview Drive-In. And she was 15, he was 17. Her mother was Catholic. There was a shotgun wedding. They stayed married probably less than a year. And then for about 6 years, there was an enormous back and forth custody battle that ensued between them and the respective parents. But I am just in the final stages of post-production on a documentary film, feature documentary, called Stella Stevens, The Last Starlet. And it deals with the life and the career, not only as an actress, but a lot of people don't know that Stella Stevens was very outspoken for women's rights, racial
Yes.
equality,
Yes.
diversity, sexual identity.
Yes,
And
yes.
we explore all of that in and around her, being alone in Hollywood during the misogynistic golden years of Hollywood, late 50s, early 60s, until about 68 when the new Hollywood emerged. But Leonard Maltin is in the film, Quentin Tarantino is in the film, Vivica A. Fox, Ken Schreiner from General Hospital. We have a variety of people, film historians and friends who all give their unique perspectives on Stella. And kind of what precipitated the exploration of her life and maybe documenting it is my mother and I certainly didn't always seem eye to eye. And two things happened. I saw Patty Davis on the Today Show. And years ago, she's Ronald Reagan's daughter, for those who don't know. She had written kind of a Daddy Dearest book that was kind of a smear about her dad and Nancy Reagan. And she's written a new book. And she said to Savannah Guthrie, she said, and I'm paraphrasing, that with time and distance, I've been able to realize that my truth isn't necessarily the whole truth, and that my dad's truth is worthy of having a look at, and I'm able to view it now with a softer lens. And that's exactly what I did with my mother, coupled with the fact that her, William Hurt, Paul Sorvino, Robert Blake, Anne Hesh, Tom Sizemore were all left off the Oscars in favor of some wacky in memoriam segment. And
It was disgraceful. That was totally disgraceful.
Completely. And she'd been a lifetime Academy member. I don't know, I wrote some letters to the Academy, never got a response. I've been an Academy member since 1973. And you mentioned Rock Hudson. He and James Stewart were my sponsors. So those two events really precipitated me making this film. And I reached out to Quentin Tarantino because he'd written very favorably about her in his last book, Cinema Speculation. And he lives in Israel, but we went over to Israel to Tel Aviv to film him. And he's a tremendous contribution to the piece.
Your mother, one of the things your mother told me when we were talking, I said, so Stella, what are you doing? Are you working? She said, Ron, right now I'm writing. She was writing a lot of stuff. Do you have all of her writings, the stuff that she was writing?
I have a lot of archival material. Her significant other for the last 30 years of her life, Bob Kulick, his brother is Bruce Kulick, who was the lead guitar player for Kiss for 12 years, and he's been with Grand Funk Railroad for about 22 years. And Bruce and his wife, Lisa, Christina was the first wife, sorry. They amassed a lot of material and sent it to me, but actually I had a tremendous amount of archival material, including 8mm home movies that my grandparents had taken.
So then you've got substance. Your mother, here's a little thing about your mother. They like to take pictures of celebrities at parties. How they get in, I don't know. But somebody got in and was taking pictures of Stella and myself. And I was standing next to Stella because, enough of these friggin' pictures already. And she said, oh, Ron, let's make it good. And she threw her arms around my neck and she was embracing me. And I have that picture. Unfortunately, I couldn't put it up. You know why? The little thing that you slide into the computer goes to my old computer. It doesn't fit.
He's got like a phone card thing, like a
It doesn't-
camera card
it
thing with
doesn't
all the
fit.
pictures, and you can't put them on the computers.
I kept
My
that,
computer's too
I
new.
kept that picture of Stella in love with me, hugging me, and I showed it to Jane Russell, and she said, oh, all the dames love you. Too bad you're not straight, Ron. Jane was my good buddy.
So I want to tell you, so first of all, what made me think of you, because I'm always looking for great guests and for the show that fit our demographic. And one of my favorite movies, which I saw recently, which made me think of you, that's why I contacted you, was The Fury. The Fury with Kirk Douglas and who's
Charles Durning, Irving, John Cassavetes,
Yeah, Kirk Douglas, Amy Irving, Charles Durning. Yes, so it's a great film. Anybody who hasn't seen it, you guys, it's streaming on.
But you know what
on
movie
Max.
I like best that you were in? You were such a son of a bitch. That movie where you were killing that beautiful blonde in the pool.
Oh, The Seduction with Morgan Fairchild.
Oh, and Morgan Fairchild's been on the
Morgan,
show.
yeah,
I'm
Morgan.
doing a movie with her. Possibly.
And you were
Okay.
such a. Oh, I wanted to beat the hell out of you. You were a good actor. I got to tell you something. You could act.
Oh, I was. Thank you. Thank
No,
you.
really. And Stella was proud of that because I used to say, my daughter at the time was an actress and you were an actor. And so Stella and I had that in common. What Stella and I used to do is at a party, we'd always find a corner and the two of us would sit and bullshit. And I found in Stella no movie star. I never found an affected star at all. I found an ordinary woman who had a son and lived a very regular life. She could be very glamorous and very Hollywood when needed. So you agree with this? Stella was a down-to-earth broad.
She was. And, one of the issues was finding people who are still alive that knew her back then. And Barbara Luna was very good in the documentary. She gives a lot of insights. They worked together in Stella's first job, which was they were both chorus girls in Bing Crosby and Robert Wagner's Say One For Me. And then they worked together years later when Stella went from Fox to Paramount and ended up at Columbia. They did a picture called Synanon that Frank Tashlin directed with Alex Cord. So kind of
I asked Stella one time, I said, "Did you ever have an affair with Frank Sinatra?" And she said to me, "What interesting wallpaper they have." Or something like it. What interesting fabric. So I never asked her again if she has an, I think she did. Frank would have been an idiot not to. She's so beautiful and had a body of death. Sexy woman. Those eyes, beautiful. I loved your mother.
So, yeah, he's very excited when I told him who was coming on. That you were coming on the show.
I used to look for her at parties because whenever she came to Palm Springs, I would see her. She would always be floating around somewhere.
Funny. The people in the chat room are saying they just watched that Seduction movie the other day. It's on Tubi, I think, because I think that we saw it on.
Where he's
where he's the bad guy.
You are one evil, no good, rotten, crazy.
So let me brag a little bit for people who might not know who you are. You guys, some of the TV shows that you would have seen him in, and it's so funny because I remember these things after I looked it up. Apple's Way, Police Story, Adam 12, Shazam, The Oregon Trail, American Bandstand, Code Red, Hollywood Wives, The Love Boat, Hotel, Columbo, Murder, She Wrote, Swamp Thing. He was on Dallas, you guys, as a regular character for many, many episodes. In movies, The Fury, everybody has to go see The Fury. 10 to Midnight with Charles Bronson. I like horror movies, so I wrote down Scared Stiff, The Terror Within 1 and 2, The Skateboard Kid, The Boys in Company C, which
and
got
Dallas.
a Globe
What about
nomination.
Dallas?
I said Dallas already.
Oh, you said Dallas?
Yes. But what I didn't know in researching you is now you're like this huge producer, executive producer, director, and you executive produced The Boondock Saints, which is one of the biggest cult films in the history of film. The Boondock Saints is like the greatest movie ever. Norman Reedus has been on our show. David Della Rocca is a friend of mine. I've met Sean Patrick Flannery, but we're not friends. But I used to be friends with David Della Rocca. One of the greatest films ever. How did you get involved with that? Because that is such a great film.
Well, to recap, I quit acting full-time in 1993, and I've produced and financed over 190 movies since then. I had one partner in the largest independent film company in the business at the time. We had an output deal with Warner Brothers for studio theatrical features. I created an art house division, a classics division. I had 4 pictures in 3 years in Sundance. Competition in Cannes. I went with Sean Penn and Jack Nicholson for The Pledge, which was in competition in Cannes. Things you can tell just by looking at her was in the director's fortnight. It was Rodrigo Garcia's first film. So that's really been the majority of my career. I'll act for people every now and then.
You just did one.
Well,
The Minute You Wake Up Dead. You were in The Minute You Wake Up Dead.
That was a movie they produced with Morgan Freeman and Cole Hauser, and they needed an actor to play opposite Morgan Freeman and Jamie Alexander and Michael Mailer, who's Norman Mailer's son, who directed the picture. He said, I want you to do it. And I said, Michael, I'm in the, he said, just get your ass down here. So, and then he called me. He was just doing a picture with Cullum Meaney and Carrie Elwes in Buffalo. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went up and did a cameo in this film. I played a guy named George Perkins, who was J.P. Morgan's right-hand banker, for a day up there with him. So I do little things here and there, but the mainstay of my career for
30 years.
has been producing. I direct occasionally, and I write as well. I've written several books on filmmaking, producing, screenwriting. I wrote a fully accredited college degree program in motion picture production, and a ton of screenplays that, if I'm writing it, I'm generally making it.
And,
I actually have seen
wait, Andrew, this is a very sensitive question. Was there ever theatrical competition between you and your mother?
No. Interestingly, in the documentary, she sort of addresses that she had nothing to do with my career. She said if he would have asked, I would have offered my advice, but he did it all on his own. That's from her lips in an on-camera interview. She was, you have to understand the time and the context, Ron, in that by the time she had done Poseidon Adventure, she was nearing 35 years old. 35-year-old actresses back then didn't have the longevity that 35, 45, 55-year-old actresses do today. There was no such thing as a Nicole Kidman having leading lady roles well into their 50s. So, her career was on the downside as mine was on the upswing, but I hired her in 11 or 12 movies and television shows that I produced over the years. So I would always look for a role for her to give her work.
She could have gone on. The last time I was with her, she darkened her hair. She didn't have that blonde hair. She had long, dark blonde hair, brownish, and she was in a suit, in a beautiful suit. And she looked very, very distinguished and very, she could have been a Joan Crawford or a Betty Davis. I mean, Stella, she always made jokes about the panties in Poseidon Adventure. For some reason, the panties was an issue, and she resented it in a bit. I think Shelley said something at her birthday party about Stella and the panties. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember everything, but anyway.
I don't know anything about the panties. It's the first time hearing
she
of it.
had the joke. The joke
sure
was Stella Stevens. You saw her panties when she went up the ladder. But anyway, the last time I saw Stella, she was a very stunning woman who definitely could have been in film. She was no longer the tomato, as we used to say, the sex symbol.
Well, she worked nonstop, more prolifically. Tarantino said, most actresses have 4 to 5 years in the sun. You get up to 8, 9, no. That's too long. He said they never have careers where they're the girl that for that length of time. Stella had a career that spanned the entire 1960s, the entire 1970s, and he said even in the 80s she was still 100% Stella Stevens. Once she got to the 90s, and I'm quoting him, he said, if the goal of an actor or actress is to act, she worked. She worked a lot, and I'm quoting him, and I'm probably doing his mannerisms because he's very animated. But I mean, the prolificness of the amount of work she did, particularly in later years, she wasn't able to pick and choose roles as she was able to do when she wasn't under studio contract in the earlier years. But she worked, and she needed to support herself. She didn't rely on a man to support her. She was never remarried. She was always the dominant female in her relationships with men, and often, arguably supported them to a large part. So she had to work, and she worked up until 2006. She did an episode of 20 Good Years with John Lithgow, and that was her last performance on TV ever because the dementia had started to set in.
Jesus. Well, people thought that she was just a dumb blonde, because those are the parts that were given her, these frivolous comedies that really didn't mount to
in the 60s, but as Tarantino cites, in the 70s, he said she wasn't naive again. She was ballsy. She was bodacious. She was
very ballsy.
And he said, if you look at the poster of Rage, it's a Glenn Ford picture, but Glenn Ford is like an ant, and there's a giant Stella Stevens promoting the movie, because that's when she started sharing above the title billing with all these big male movie stars, including Dean Martin. And
she was a very intelligent woman. If you sat down and spoke with her, her issues on politics were very liberal. She was absolutely gay friendly because she knew I was gay. And she always gave me a hug and a kiss and a sweet something. So I felt very, very flattered that such a lovely person was nice to me, because a lot of people aren't nice to gay people. I can't say anything more about
that. I don't believe that's true anymore.
What?
I think that people
but
are.
Don't forget, this is going back a lot of years.
Well, then, in context,
today,
No.
In the 60s and 70s.
I knew your mother 25 years ago. Way more, maybe 30 years ago, and progressed, the 10 or 15 years that I knew her. As I said, if I was in LA at a function, there she was. Or we only saw each other at functions. I'm sorry, I never pursued the friendship with her that I had with Jane Russell. Jane Russell and I were like brother and sister. We did everything together. I even took her name, Russell, when I started off. But I can't say anything about Stella Stevens that's negative.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So I just finished a picture with Al Pacino. Have you ever had Al on your show?
No.
So I just produced a movie that we're in the final stages of editing, called The Ritual, and it's based on a true story about the last ritual exorcism that took place on U.S. soil, sanctioned by the Pope in the Vatican in 1928. So
that's my kind of movie.
That's
my kind of movie.
But it's an intelligent movie with a very intelligent writer and director, and it's not a Pope's exorcist kind of jump scare typical exorcism movie. It's eerie and it's all about character, because that's what motivates Al to get out of bed and go to work.
I don't do the cheesy one. I'm doing one movie that I'm doing for a friend that I'm not thrilled about doing, but I'm doing it because he's a dear friend. But the films that I do now are thrillers, suspenseful, some horror in it.
I like horror movies.
I'm not a fan of chop and kill.
Right.
10 people in a room, one by one, they get knocked off. I'm not a fan of that. So I too feel that horror movies have got to elevate, because now they're boring, the sameness, they stink.
I wouldn't even call it a horror film. I would call
thriller.
I don't think Al Pacino would sign up to do a traditional horror film. It was a character-driven, true story with supernatural elements, all of which are true.
That's wonderful. That's the kind of movie I have to plug our movie. I play Kevin Bacon's father in a movie that we're soon to shoot, and it's a wonderful script. It's a script that has a story. Would you believe a story? And the actors really have to act, not read lines. And I'm excited about it. And it's called Death Realm. And
it's a thriller. It's a horror thriller.
It's a horror thriller. And I can't wait to shoot it, because I think we're starting to make really good horror thriller films.
Wait, I want to brag for you, though.
Don't you agree with that,
So,
Andy?
Yes.
We're starting to do quality horror thrillers.
Well, there's so much competition from streamers that if you're making an independent film, quality is paramount.
Yes, absolutely.
You look terrific, by the way. Look at us. We still have our hair.
We have our hair. I can't tell about this lighting. My daughter set this ring up over there. But,
you look terrific.
You look good.
When I see myself, I look like a mortician is kind of.
No, you know what? You don't look young, but you look good. That's what I tell people. I don't look young, but I look good. I'm 84 years old, the same as your mother.
Oh my God.
Your mother was 84.
Oh, fantastic.
Thank you. So did your mother look. Well, listen, How come I couldn't go see her? That Harlan Boyle told me that she wouldn't know me. Is
Well,
that true?
Of course. Yeah. She lost language. She couldn't care for herself. She had no recognition of anything. She didn't know she had a son, grandchildren, nothing.
Oh, how sad is that?
Okay.
What were you going to say, Jimmy?
I want to go back to you now. So first of all, I'm going to brag a little bit more. I like to brag for people because if I do it, it sounds good. If you do it, it's not as good. So I'm going to do it for you. So some of the movies that you've executive produced, The Whole Nine Yards with Bruce Willis, Matthew Perry, and Rosanna Arquette, Battlefield Earth with John Travolta, Barry Pepper, and Forrest Whitaker, which I know that movie got panned as not good, but I actually enjoyed it. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's a great movie.
That's a whole other podcast.
Yes, okay. Get Carter with Sylvester Stallone. I think it was Angela's Eyes or Angela's Eyes, Jennifer Lopez. Angel Eyes, Jim Caviezel and Terrence Howard. Heist, which I've seen that a bunch of times. Gene Hackman, Delroy Lindo, Sam Rockwell, Danny DeVito. Fear.com, which was a great horror movie with Stephen Dorff and Udo Kier, who lives here. We live in Palm Springs, so he lives in Palm Springs. We see him often at events.
Right.
Stephen Rea, City by the Sea. I'm putting Popstar on here, so I'm a big boy band fan, and I've known Aaron Carter for years, and so I thought that was a great movie, for the generation of people that it was supposed to go to, and David Cassidy was in it. I loved it. Walking Tall, The Payback with Kevin Sorbo. That's just some of them. I put down the ones I've seen because I've seen all of these. But I want to go back to the Boondock Saints because literally, I know that these movies some of them are maybe more famous, but almost no movie in the world has as big a cult following as the Boondock Saints.
So the Boondock Saints now probably isn't as popular as it was maybe 10 years ago, but if it's streaming, it'll probably regain popularity. It was a film that Harvey Weinstein had developed with the writer and director Troy Duffy, and they had a falling out. Troy's, he's a strong personality, and so is Harvey. And Harvey put it into turnaround. So my partner and I talked about it, and we picked it up in turnaround from Harvey, and we produced the movie in Canada. Got back, and we started shopping it for theatrical distributors. And right then, right before we finished the film, Columbine hit. And two brothers in black trench coats blowing away people vigilante style was an anathema, and nobody would pick it up theatrically. Wow. So the best offer we got that the bank would accept was a 1-year VHS only video cassette world premiere through Blockbuster. So the premiere and the entire first year venue for the Boondock Saints was only video cassette VHS through Blockbuster. It did exceedingly well. Net profits are back end. They're like Sasquatch. Everybody talks about it, but nobody ever sees it. And all of a sudden, I made almost $1 million in overage from, the film did, the bank did, on the Boondock Saints. And it was doing so well, I called my exec at Blockbuster at the time, and I said, hey, the year's expiring. Do you want to re-up for another year? And he said, nah, we figure everybody who's seen that movie has already seen it, and we're just going to exercise our sell-off period. So they would take all of their previously viewed cassettes, put it in a discount bin. It was a white painted box in Blockbuster, and they'd sell them for, $4 or $5. And I said, well, what about DVD? And they said, nah, we're not in that business. And there's a reason Blockbuster is not in business anymore, and that's one of them. So I ended up with DVD rights, and the bank said, get rid of them, sell everything. We want to get the loan paid off. So I sold the DVD rights only for a song to a little mom and pop home video company. They held it for a couple of years until DVD, because back at that time, players were $1,200. They were all pixelated. And until the format perfected, then they put it out through Fox, and they did $30 million out of the box. And I sold it to Lionsgate for Canadian distribution, and they did tremendous numbers. So everybody made a fortune on that picture, except for us in the bank, because the bank told us to fire sale it.
Oh, wow. I actually bought one of those I actually had one of those VHS cassettes of it that I bought. I used to buy tons of them at Blockbuster. I think it's a fantastic movie. I've probably seen it 50 times. And And Troy Duffy, I've met several times. We're not friends, but I know who he is. He follows me on social media. Actually, he would be a good guest, but I think that I think it's just fantastic. So how do you enjoy you must really enjoy the whole producing thing since you're not doing the acting thing. And what made you transition from like, now I'm this super popular actor and now I'm going to become this big director, producer, executive producer?
I was, it was about 1993, and I made a film with Roger Corman. Actually, I prior to 93, I made a film for Roger Corman. He called me a year later. He said, the film did very well. I want to make you the same deal I made Ron Howard. And I said, sure, I'm in. What is it? And he said, I'll allow you to write and direct the sequel. I said, fantastic. He said, but you have to star in it. And you have to do all 3 roles for the same price I paid you for the first movie. So that was The Terror Within 1 and 2. And I said, all right, Roger, I'll do that deal, but I want a second picture that we co-finance. You put up 300 for domestic, I'll put up 250 against foreign. We'll make a $550,000 movie. We'll split rights. I'll own the foreign. And he said, all right, I'll make that deal. So we made The Terror Within 2. About a year after that, which the footnote for The Terror Within 2 is that there were old bipedal rubber monster suits. It was a biped man in a rubber suit monster. And I said to Roger, I said, we got to have new suits. He said, absolutely not. There's no money. So I put one on a stuntman, and you could see the T-shirt. They were just shredded, and you put rubber cement on them and try and glue them together. And I said, I need a DP, that director of photography, that can diffuse and shoot these things in a way that you can't really see them. So I looked and looked and looked and looked, and they submitted all these director of photographies. I couldn't find anybody. I found a VHS cassette that had a piece of camera tape on it. It said "Stripped to Kill Second Unit." And I popped it in the cassette, and there was a girl dancing totally nude, frontally to camera, and it was backlit and diffused and slash lit, and she had not a stitch of clothes on, but you couldn't see any definition. You couldn't see pubic hair, and there was hair back then. You couldn't see nipples. You couldn't see anything. And I said, I want to meet that guy. And he came in. He was a young Polish kid, and I said, I want you to do this movie. He said, you mean second unit? I said, no, I want you to be the DP in the movie. He said, really? I said, yeah. He said, but do I have another interview? I said, no, you got the job. It was Janusz Kaminski, and he won the Oscar for Schindler's List 3.5 years later. So we're shooting this movie, and we finally show it to Roger, and Roger says, I think you need to reshoot the scene where the monster's finger gets severed. And I said, Roger, we really can't. I said, it was a very specific set. The set has been struck. The lighting was very specific. You do see it fall through frame. You see it cut off by the hatch cover. You see the girl pick it up and look at it and put it in a petri dish. And he said, very well, but it looks to me like you've chopped the monster's cock off. So we finished that movie, and about a year later, I go back to Roger and I say, I want to do the second picture. And he says, very well, what do you want to do? And we settled on a sequel to the Body Chemistry movies. He'd done 1 and 2. So we decided to do Body Chemistry 3. And I hired Morgan Fairchild, by the way, on that movie. So I produced that movie, and I went to Roger and I said, I know you're going to put up 300. I'm supposed to put up 250. I'll put up my house. I'll work for free. I'll get everybody I know to work for free. Don't make me show the 250. And he agreed and let me make the movie for his $300,000. Wow. And it did so well. It did so well for him. He made about $1.4 million on it. He said, let's do 3 more. So then I had 4 movies. I partnered with somebody that had another 4 movies. And I went into the foreign sales distribution business in 93, and I quit acting. I got tired of being a child and wanted to be an adult, basically.
So you were able to pay your house off and make money. You didn't lose your house.
Well, yeah, way more than that.
Good for you.
Good for you.
Actually, a lot of people were in those films. I'm looking at. So I've never seen Body Chemistry, but
I want to say something about Morgan Fairchild.
Clint Howard, a lot of people in it.
No, but Morgan Fairchild on film, I always thought was cold and snobby and would be very unfriendly. So when she was coming on our show, I said, "Oh, big deal, another ice broad, ice princess." No, Morgan
lovely.
Fairchild is delicious. She is the sweetest, the nicest, the most
Most
giving,
beautiful,
and
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Right.
So I was so thrilled that she turned out to be one of my super people, and we did a beautiful show with her. She's a lovely person. So you see, you can't judge a book by its cover.
No, she's lovely. I actually hired her to play the grandma in a little family film in 2017. So,
I think she's coming in the film of yours, right?
Well, I just
More-
got
I
I
think
got asked to be brought on a film that's
Yeah,
starring
she's coming
her.
into one of Jimmy's films that I'm in. So I'll be working with her, and I can't wait.
So
That's
here's
Because she's really nice.
Here's a cool question for you. And so normally I do it for like actors, but let's do it as you can pick it out.
Is it
However,
over already?
no, we have 9 minutes.
Oh, good, because I love him.
No.
Your mother did a good job on you, Buster.
thank you.
You're a nice guy. She made a real nice guy out of you.
So here's something that I like to ask, and you can do it as either as an actor or a director or a producer. But like, if you could have ever been involved in any film, because normally I say actors, if you could have ever been in any film, but if you could have ever been involved in any film that's ever been made, what film would you have liked to have been involved with? And then the second question.
No, he could have been in
and-
any film. He could apply to him. He's an actor.
I know, well, he can pick it. He can pick it as an actor or as a producer or as a director. And then if you could have bucket list male and female star that you haven't had an opportunity to work with that you would like love to work with, and they could be living or dead. They don't have to be alive.
Boy, you're kind of asking you're kind of asking the wrong person, because when people say, "Oh, what's your favorite?" I have no favorites. Every film is a challenge. Every actor that you work with is a challenge in their own way. People's dreams and desires are to make movies, and then they get on set, and many of them make it as difficult as possible and turn what should be a celebration into a miserable experience. So, I'm kind of skirting the issue, because I only do what is a deal. It's show business, not show art, as far as I'm concerned. Occasionally, art happens along the way, and you hit with both cylinders. But in the independent business today, it's more difficult than ever. In the late 40s, early 50s, there was a federal regulation called FinSyn, FINSYN, where the federal government stepped in and deregulated the studios from being able to own cinemas, because they deemed them monopolies, and they were and they were restricting free trade. Well, today you've got 6 or 7 conglomerates that own every media outlet, every studio, everything worldwide, and there's no longer a mandate for the independent.
It stinks, I say again.
And I was the chairman of the Independent Producers Association for years. I was on the board of directors of International Film and Television Alliance. I represented 170 member companies. Our lobbying budget for the year was $500,000. For these guys in Washington, for the big boys, that's lunch. So,
Right.
There's no one looking out. There are people looking out for small business as a whole, but there's nobody looking out for the small business in the entertainment industry.
You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Now, listen, I want to ask you a question. Jane Russell's children, who I knew, hated the fact that their mother was a superstar. They wanted a mother that was ordinary. Jane tried her best by going to the beach with the kids. Jane hung out with all her school kids, girls that she went to school with. Did you ever feel that you would have preferred to have a short, fat mother baking, or the gorgeous, stunning movie star that you had?
Well, see, I was raised predominantly by my grandmothers, my mother's mother and my father's mother. So they were basically my mothers. They were warm and fuzzy. They bought my clothes. They washed my clothes. They ironed my clothes. They cooked my meals. Except so I grew up with them 12 of 18 years of my life, and summers and holidays for the 6 years that I lived with my mother. So, I had limited time with my mother as a child. Mostly my grandparents and my grandmothers were my role models. My father was too young to be a father, but my grandfather, tried to correct his mistakes that he made with his son, with me, his grandson, and my grandmothers were like my collective mothers. So, if it weren't for them, it'd be a different story. But they were the ones that nurtured me my entire life.
I kind of suspected that when I used to ask her about you. I got a feeling that it wasn't really what I knew, having an ordinary mother, a conventional mother. But I got to tell you something. She's proud of you and she loved you. There's no question about that.
She'd never say it to me, but she'd say it to you or others. Maybe it was good dinner table conversation, and perhaps indeed she was, but that was never imparted to me.
That's sad, because I didn't think that of her. I thought that she was a very doting mother, according to the conversation. No, if it ever came up about you, it was as though you were her pal.
Maternal and my mother were never congruous, but she was who she was. I accepted her for who she was, and and as she got older and my career took off, it was more about what can you do for me, and which is why I would put her to work in a film or TV show of mine whenever I got the chance.
But your documentary will be kind.
Documentary is more than kind. It's a celebration. I have my own documentary, and when I do that, I can tell, because there are different truths. Everything that I explore about my mother is the absolute 100% truth. Much of it in her own words, completely celebrating the strong, autonomous, against all odds woman she was in this male-dominated, misogynistic industry as she came up, and was more successful than 99.9% of the actresses in history. So it celebrates everything that was wonderful and magnanimous and magnificent about her. There's no dirty laundry. It's just facts are facts. But
there's no mommy dearest there. No mommy dearest.
No.
I wouldn't like you if you did that. Now, Jane Russell was an alcoholic big time, and she confessed to me that she was a lousy mother because she was too busy getting drunk. Her children really resented her. They resented me tremendously. Her one son hated me because I was so close to his mother, and he was thinking, this strange guy comes along and my mother's doing to him what she should have done to me. And it was tough on Jane, but Jane in the end tried to be a mother, but it wasn't successful. It just didn't happen. I saw so many, I know many celebrities who have children, and I don't want to name them all, but the kids really wish that their parents were ordinary, normal nobodies. They hated their celebrity parents.
I have 3 kids. I've got twin girls who are going to be seniors in college.
College? Oh, sure, you would, yeah.
He'll be 22 in September. We've got a 27-year-old son. And in 2005, I made a 17-picture deal with Sony to produce their high-end DVD movies. I did 8 Steven Seagal films, 6 Wesley Snipes, 2 Van Dammes, 5 Dolph Lundgrens, Walking Tall 2, Walking Tall 3, Half Past Dead.
I love all that. I love all that.
Sequels and remakes of library titles. So I moved my kids to Dallas, Texas, and I raised them in a specific neighborhood and a specific school system. And I just
normal.
Normal. And I went to every.
Is your son as handsome as you are? Very handsome.
He would say yes.
No, I want to hear what Daddy says.
Daddy's going to say yes.
I think he's a handsome boy. But
if you were a handsome boy, the James went nuts over you.
Thank you. But back to that.
You're still handsome.
I said I'm going to take care of my kids, and that's what I've done.
Are they following you into the industry? Any of them?
My son works with me in production. He's a union production office coordinator on union films, and he's a unit production manager on non-union films. My daughter Aubrey, if you look her up on IMDb, she's done 10 or 12 movies with me. So Amelia, my other daughter, no, she's international business, but
Do any of the girls look like mom? Do your children? Any of the girls look like Stella?
all my kids are blonde and blue-eyed. Do they look like Stella? I wouldn't say. If you know, after we finish the interview, look up Aubrey Stevens on.
I guess we're winding. Andrew, I have thanked so many guests for coming on our show, but I can't thank any guest more than you. It is indeed a pleasure that after all these years of hearing about you, I've finally gotten to know you, and I'm proud of you. And I'm going to cry. Ooh, I guess Italians would cry at the drop of a hat. I am so happy that you're going to celebrate Stella.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on. And when the DVD, when the movie actually comes out, let us know so we can help promote it. Because I've got like 1.5 million followers.
And
on
I
social
can't
media
wait to
and all
see
that.
it. I'll be the first one there.
I will do. Well, stay in touch, Jimmy, and I'll send you a link.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Andrew.
All righty, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm glad you enjoyed the show. Our guests, Andrew Stevens and Greg Raposo, were fabulous. We'll see you guys next week. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah,
It was really a great show.
wonderful show. Wonderful show.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Can turn out to be so wrong. Yeah, we in the mix. Yeah, we in the mix. It's another episode. Here we go. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Interviewing the hottest, newest, and truest of today's celebrities. Make sure to subscribe so you can get notified weekly. Jimmy Star, he's the king of cool. Ron Russell, he's a gorgeous dude. Chat room is live and you would be a fool not to vibe with us at the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. Come watch it live on W4CY Radio. Miss some past episodes? Download on iTunes. The Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell. It's the Jimmy Star Show with Ron Russell.